swamp lights. The Skands made a fire. Finn slept first, then Olaf. In the morning we set off. The Jarl sat on his horse, and Olaf and Finn walked. The fog pressed on his mind like white walls. The bare gnarled trees looked like the huge hands of the withered dead. Here and there we stumbled upon graves and entire burial mounds. Most often, they are Römrland and Skandian. Eldic and Klinentroll are much less common. The trio was consumed by apathy. There was something incredibly oppressive about this journey through fields and hills strewn with corpses and surrounded by a white haze. It was as if they had invaded the realm of death and disturbed the peace of the dead. Wait, pull over. The voice from the fog was a complete surprise. The presence of other living scarecrows of the Skands. But you never know who could wander here. Finn peered into the fog around him. On his left, he saw a lot of lights. Probably, these are fires. He took only a step and turned to call his comrades, when a voice pulled him away. No, there are no people there. The lights on the left rose. Next to them, something waved in the air, as if they were being called by hands. But they were too far away. Everything was blurred in the fog. There are swamps there. These lights are from there. Follow my torch. A light appeared in the fog. The dim lights began to call them more insistently. Olaf, let's go straight, Finn said anxiously. There are no people there. We follow him. They moved straight. The light was not lost, but it did not allow itself to be caught up with. Keep to my left, but don't lose sight of the torch. There are still swamps on the left. The Scanders went as the voice indicated. What is your name? Finn asked. Lucius. What happened here? Lucius. Something unknown has always been happening in these swamps and nearby. Where I am walking, there is an air hole. You'll step here and not come out. There are no walls. Go where you want and you won't get out. There was a fence, but some were demolished during the battle. I and a few of my sword brothers fell into this trap. I'm the last. Lucius fell silent. They walked like this for several hours. At last the Römrlander stopped. Well, that's the limit. I can't go any further. Step straight. Gradually dodge to the left. There will be a forest. It is not dangerous. If you hear voices, do not go to them. There are no people in the swamps, and there never was. Lucius departed, and the Scanders went on. Apathy did not subside, but pressed more and more. The fog became so thick if it wanted to suffocate them, but they did as Lucius said and went out into the forest. The fog thinned out. Visibility improved. However, apathy did not subside. She squeezed her brain in a vice. It became physically unbearable to walk, to do something. The horses stood up and bowed their heads. Olaf sat up, buried his eyes in the ground, and buried his hands in his long red hair. Jarl slept, clinging to the horse's neck. It was clear from his moans and anxious grumblings that his dreams were restless and gloomy. Finn fell to his knees. He wanted to look up at the heavens, but he saw a man behind a nearby tree. He sat leaning against the trunk. Skands stood up with the last of his strength and walked over to him. Corpse, of course. How could it be otherwise? But what struck Finn was the look of fright on his dead face. Before his death, this Manavik saw something that made his face contort in a grimace of incredible horror. Finn looked around and shivered. They're still in the swamps, followed by the lights. These are no longer bonfires or torches. They were somewhat reminiscent of eyes. They danced as if they were hypnotizing. They wrote incredible pirouettes in the air. They were eyes, but there was nothing human about them. Red lights penetrated into the very depths of her soul and shackled her with fear. With the last of his strength, Finn let out a scream and stirred up the Jarl and Olaf. At a gallop, at once. We need to get out of here.